Hello and welcome back to Life Lessons with Sheila. I'm so glad that you're here. You are back for another Am I the Asshole Church Edition. This is episode 2. It's that time of week again where I bring you an Am I the Asshole Church Edition story. That is where one of Reddit's members asks for questions of whether they are or not the asshole in this situation. Today I have just one because it's a pretty lengthy and my commentary is pretty lengthy as well. I love it when opportunities arise with real life scenarios that opens the door to minister to you and to myself at the same time. Go grab a coffee or a water and let your soul be refreshed as we find out if this person is the asshole or not. Am I the asshole for not wanting to force my children to go to church every Sunday? The original post came from March 30th, 2023. This person did come back and edit to add that her kids are 2 years old and 8 months old, so they're still very young. It reads, I, 27 female, and my husband, 30 male, have 2 kids. My husband and I both grew up Catholic, but had very different experiences within the church growing up, even though we grew up attending the same church in the same community. His family was the example of a good Catholic family. Parents were still married, happily, a good amount of kids. They were there every Sunday, and for our small farm community, they were what others should want to be. Surface only, behind the scenes, they are nothing like what they portrayed at church. I was born out of wedlock by a teen mom who grew up in a broken home, was adopted but parents later divorced. Due to that, I was often the butt of the gossip around the church and was often told to my face that I was going to hell for just being born. But my mom still forced me to go every week, every Sunday and Wednesday, even though at a young age it led me to coming home crying. She forced me to volunteer and participate in numerous activities to try and prove my worth. I have zero issues with my family. I still believe in the Catholic religion. My issue is with the church itself. I pray regularly, occasionally listen to Mass, but I don't feel like I need to show my face in the building to be whole and complete in my faith. Recently, my husband's best friend, 29 male, got very into religion again after years of nothing. My husband was very proud of him for finding that peace that his best friend, had said was missing. This has also caused my husband to get more involved again, which I don't mind, but now my husband wants us to become that picture-perfect Catholic family by attending every week in our Sunday best, no ifs, ands, or buts. I talked to him and he says he understands my feelings to a point, but he only knew love and praise from the church, so to his own admission only somewhat understands, and says that we can't shelter our children from God just because I felt abandoned by the community growing up. We still live in the same area we grew up, and I'm not trying to keep my kids from God. I plan to teach them, pray with them, etc. But he doesn't think that that's enough. Am I the asshole? Very, very good question I should ask. It brings up many topics, and we're going to touch on those. I'm going to read a couple comments first. Comment number 1 said, my favorite part was the absurdity of people telling a child born out of wedlock that she was going to hell. Excuse me, I thought the whole point of this was to wash away inherited sin. Also, if I'm going to hell anyway, I might as well kick you in the shins and then key your car on the way out of here. That just made me laugh. F the Bartimaeus better than yous of the world. That really got to me. I had to laugh. I laughed really hard when I read it the first time. Comment number 2 said, religion. Love thy neighbor unless they bear any differences from you, which you should shame and call them demons. How comforting. Comment number 3. Christians can be a massive stumbling block to the spread of Christianity. I'm going to leave you with those comments for a couple minutes. I'm going to come back and share some edits that she did. The first edit was edited to add, "Hubby and I spoke on lunch today and agree we need to sit down and have a long talk again, similar to the one we had when we first got together. I plan to show him the comments on this post, which I very much appreciate all of your insight." And her final update was, "First, I want to thank everyone for the input. My husband and I spoke last night, and I showed him the post and all the comments. He appreciates the insight and people sharing their experiences since it really helped him see his was the uncommon one. He admits he dove headfirst at 1000% into this whole thing, which he has a habit of doing, and one of the adorable quirks I've come to love over the years. Never half-ass tried something, always very overly passionate for maybe a week or so before he calms down. He feels guilty for it, coming off as him wanting to dismiss my experience and feelings for the fake perfect family image, which he swears is not his intent, and I believe him. His reason for wanting us to go as a whole family was partly because he misses the sense of community he felt growing up from the church, and ideally was in the mindset that us going as a family will give our kids that same feeling experienced as they grow up. He thought many of my negative experiences came from me going to church with my broken family, but he listened and he asked me to explain in detail, if I was comfortable, exactly the type of stuff I went through. After I did, he realizes that our children will most likely end up subject to it as well. Our older child was born before we were married, regardless of the church not acknowledging our marriage, and our younger one I was pregnant with at the beginning. He understands now that most of the ridicule I got and hate I experienced was merely from just existing and nothing I personally had any control over. He doesn't want our children going through that or risking myself reliving it. He still wants to get back into it because he truly feels like he's missing something in his life and thinks this may be it since it was a huge part of his life for a long time, which I fully support. But he plans to start just by watching Mass online for a bit. He even spoke to his best friend about all this, and his friend reiterated that believing and following the faith does not mean that you need to physically go into the building. He also quoted the Big Bang Theory, as someone in the comments on the original post did. As for the children, as they get older, we plan to explain our beliefs to them as well as others out there. But as they grow, if they decide it's not for them either at all, or find one they believe fits them better than mine and my husband's, we will support them, because being a parent means loving your children as they are, not as you try and make them be. They will be taught to be kind and show love, but not because the church says to, because it's what good people do, religious or not. Here are my thoughts on the matter. Not that you care, but I'm sharing them anyway, because this is my video. This again goes to one of my biggest spiels ever that I shared on one of my last week's posts. The biggest detriment to growing the Christian family are the Christians themselves. Not all of them, as I am a believer, and I would like to think that I help lead others to the kingdom and not hinder their walk. Though I have been on the judgmental side of Christianity when I was younger, and merely barely immature in my faith. Why? Because it's what I knew. It's how I perceived the holy examples in my life who were older than women. It wasn't until I grew in my faith and really understood what a relationship with Christ was and what it took. It doesn't take you being in a building to be a believer. I do think we need to fellowship with like-minded believers to grow in our faith. But nowadays, that can be done even online. In-person fellowship is amazing because you get to know people on a different level. But I do not believe that it's a requirement to be a believer and someone who is grounded in their faith. I do know that we were not meant to walk this walk alone. So if you're not friends with other believers, you miss out on the opportunity that fellowship can lend to your life. I have seen many believers turn those who are curious and learning about faith completely away from God, just from their actions and the words they choose to use. Now, as a parent of 3 who were all once under the age of 3, I just didn't attend church for a few years. My husband refused to go with me. Though he believed in God, he didn't believe in the church, and much like this person, dealt with judgment as a child. He went to a Baptist church and was told to come out on a Wednesday night so they could watch a film, and it was going to be about how Mormons are going to hell. His best friend at the time was a Mormon, so that did him in. Even at a young age, he had seen what judgment can be and experienced it on a different level than our original poster. But judgment's still the same. I personally do not believe any of us have the permission or even the go-ahead to tell anyone they're going to hell. That is not our call. I have been in and out of the church for many years. I long to be able to go to church on Sundays with my husband because growing up, my stepdad never went to church with me and my mom, but that never happened. But I know that he was saved. He knows that he was saved, and to have that knowledge is amazing. I would get a good round going and something happened to throw all that off. But I can tell you, I don't need a church to have my relationship with God grow. I do need fellowship with other believers, though. The verdict was, she is not the asshole. This is why I wanted to do a series like this, to show the not so kind side of religion. Not to expose people's dirty secrets, but maybe to open the eyes of those believers who may be like those who like to condemn others for anything in their past before they came to know Christ. Like saying this girl shouldn't have been born was the most ugliest statements that I can imagine ever saying to anyone, let alone being said to me. How horrible. How would that make you feel? I know I would be downright upset, and it would crush me and make me not want to be a part of that church at least. If that is what those people think, why would I want to be around them? Why would I want to be like them? Why would I want my children to be around them? I like to be challenged in my faith, but not to the point that I question my existence. Maybe this week as you go about your day, think about this family, pray for them, and many others out there who are dealing with the critical Karens out there who judge you from how you were raised rather than who you are in Christ. I know, like I said before, I have been one of those critical Karens before, and it was never a good place to be in. It never felt good. I never felt good about judging anyone, and I also have been on the other side of a critical Karen's judgment before, and that didn't feel so good either. All are welcome in this place, in this space, and on my channel. You don't have to agree with me. You just need to respect other people's viewpoints if you want your viewpoints to be respected as well. The way to win people over to Christ is not telling them they are sinning. We're all sinners. If you're willing to point out someone else's sins, then be ready for your own to be pointed out as well. Even Jesus himself, when face to face with the adulterous woman that the leaders of that time brought to him, Jesus said, "He who is without sin among you, let him cast that first stone at her." That's found in John 8:7. It goes into greater detail in verses 8 through 11. Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." I want to leave you with this last verse as you go about your day. I pray that you reflect on what you say to others and the power that you have in those words. And remember, while you're not God, you are someone's window in the eyes of the Lord. In other words, you are someone's glimpse of how God is with others. Don't be a Bertha May or a criticizing Karen, for they are the ones hindering the growth into the kingdom. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. That's in Galatians 6, 7 through 8. Thanks for joining me on this Am I the Asshole Tuesday. If you're enjoying this series, do not hesitate to give this video a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. And if you're new, take a look around and see if you like what you see. And if you do, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, smash that notification bell and select all so that you can be notified anytime I upload a video, which is daily, go live, which are currently on Fridays, share a short, or lend encouragement on my community tab, which are done daily from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you. See you tomorrow. Bye.